Have you ever heard the age-old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it must be? Today, we're going to break down that and give facts as it relates to the truth about life insurance written by Dave Ramsey. Buckle up.
Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Joey, I know it's in the teens here in Alabama today, but seriously, can you turn down the heat? It is so hot in this place.
Look, I cannot help it, okay? I'm cold-natured all of a sudden. I'm getting old. The blood's just not flowing as well or something. I don't know what it is, but I'm freezing.
I mean, you're like in a Snuggie over there. This is terrible. I'm over here like, basically in boxer shorts, trying my best to like ice down. I wish our windows actually went down. I would have them open right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm bundling up as much as I can, but it is unusually cold in Alabama for those of you who are not familiar with
Well,
our
I took
weather
a
here.
picture this morning as I was leaving the house of our pond.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was iced over, and the kids are like, "Can we go skating out there?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah,
No.
that's not going to work out."
Not going to work.
Yeah, but I did actually go down there the other day, and I was skipping rocks across it. Have you ever done that on water? Like an iced over thing? And it's just like, it makes the oddest noise over the top of that ice. I don't know why that's interesting to me, and probably not interesting to you listening. You're probably like, okay, get on with it.
I'm with you on that. Let's go.
Well, let's talk about life insurance today. This is the topic that I think we steer away from in certain situations, but I have had, I don't know how many times over the last 5 to 10 years, somebody send me this article by Dave Ramsey, The Truth About Life Insurance. Like you can go out there and Google The Truth About Life Insurance, and this is like one of the most hotly debated articles that exist. You know, it never fails that somebody starts wondering, am I doing the right thing, right? Like I want the future stability. I want to be able to, use and access my money today. I love the concept of this becoming my own banker and using cash value life insurance as my mechanism. But then my friend sends me this article about the truth about life insurance. What am I going to do?
Well, I mean, who hasn't heard whole life insurance is the worst place to put money? I mean, I can remember back, Russ, when you started sharing this with me, immediately I was like baffled that you would come with this sort of an idea, because I was like, everybody knows whole life insurance is like the worst. Well, how did everybody learn that?
You said the worst. I love that.
Everybody knows that's the worst.
It is the worst.
It's because of guys like Dave Ramsey. It's because of Susie Orman's out there. These people have perpetuated this idea that it's just a terrible place to park money.
Well, but why would they say that? Just the part that most people ask that question is, well, Dave's in my church, right? I mean, Dave has a good heart. I mean, you look at him, he looks like a big teddy bear. Like, why would Dave not tell me the truth? Like, what's in it for Dave not to share the truth with me on this? I mean, obviously, he wrote the article, The Truth About Life Insurance.
Yeah, I don't think that it's Dave is a problem. I don't think that he's trying to mislead. I just think we've uncovered some things that are true, and he's really given opinions, right? That's one of the things that we are always going to agree to do on our show with our clients, everywhere we go. We want to give you the truth, not just our opinion about things. And I think this article really kind of uncovers that Dave doesn't really go by that same requirement.
Well, if you listen to a lot of his show, and I got to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of his show. He doesn't really fit in my genre, right? What he's talking about is not something that fits me, right? I'm not trying to just get out of debt, right? I'm not trying to figure out a way to live off rice and beans so that I can live like no one else. Later, I'm in a phase of life with 4 kids and I want to enjoy the things today. Sure, I want to have the confidence and financial stability of retirement, but I think he and I talk about different things, right? We're interested in how can we use and access our money for today, not just postpone life till tomorrow. But you've said this before, and I agree with this. Dave does a lot of heavy lifting on just getting people to quit overspending.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing about me meeting with clients feeling like I have to explain to them how much money they spend on eating out, how much money they put in extracurricular activities or entertainment or whatever those things might be. So I'm grateful that Dave does that heavy lifting.
Yeah, if he could just come into all those awkward conversations when the husband or the wife looks at the other one and says, "Why do you keep spending this much money?" And I'm like,
yeah, I'll step out for a minute.
Let me come back on that.
Yeah, so I'm grateful that he really helps people to see the human factor of money, right? That we can't spend more than we make and expect to get ahead financially. I don't care what your plan is, that one doesn't work. However, Dave has to be held accountable. He's speaking to a national audience about real numbers in this article, and they're just not true. I mean, we have to hold somebody like that accountable, and that's the whole purpose. That's why you started really digging into the numbers and being able to back this up with numbers.
Well, absolutely. And as it pertains to the subject matter today, the truth about life insurance, Dave goes in specifically to talking about how cash value life insurance is horrible. It's one of the worst things that you can own. I mean, he tells people, don't do cash value insurance. Buy term and invest the difference. That's what it says specifically in this article that you can find right on his website. And so that tells you that he's 100% all in on term insurance is the only course of action you should take when trying to protect against a loss of life. Well, here's a big problem with that I see, Joey. And this is an old a mentor of mine. I just called him old. He is older than I am. But a mentor of mine said, you cannot fix a permanent problem with a temporary solution. Life is permanent. Now, we were not granted tomorrow or guaranteed tomorrow, but at the same time, we look at longevity as we look at medical advancements and everything else, and we know, and the statistics prove this out, that 99% of all term policies will never pay out a death benefit.
Wow. I don't know that most people know that. So say that again.
Less than 1% of all term policies will ever pay a death benefit. And that's because they've long since lapsed or they're too expensive to hold. It makes sense, right? I mean, if you look at a statistical table of when people are going to die, are they more likely to die between the ages of 20 and 50 or 60? Or are they more likely to die between the ages of 60 and 90 or 100?
Oh, it's
right?
Drastic. Yeah.
By the way, if you're still alive after 60, and in this article, he uses a 57-year-old, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But if you're still alive after age 57, Joey, would you like to guess with your Montevallo education, what's the probability somebody's going to die after 57 if they're still living?
I don't know. I mean, maybe 100%. I'll go 100%.
Right? Everyone who's still alive is going to die at some point. And so you can't fix a permanent problem with a temporary solution. And I get it. I get the idea that life insurance has a bad taste in several people's mouth, and mine included, right? Because this is the whole concept of becoming your own banker fell deaf on my ears for 4 straight years as I heard Nelson Nash speak at a different conference I used to go to. And it was all because I would go up to someone later and I would say, that sounded interesting. Like, tell me more about what he's doing with that. And they said, oh, he's using whole life insurance. I'm like, la, 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 la.
As soon as you hear that, you just shut down.
Right. You guys are morons. I'm moving on.
Right. I mean, anybody in the financial world has been taught that. So it's not shocking to me that most consumers don't know this either, because the people that they're trusting for financial advice are never going to make this recommendation.
Right. Well, so then that's easy to then follow blindly into the situation, which renders you kind of powerless, right? And I know that's a frustration point that we hear, is that we want knowledge. And that's the area where, okay, I took it upon myself to look at this article, sit down, actually put it into financial calculators and figure out what is he talking about is right and where are some problems. And Joey, I got to tell you, there's some serious problems in this article.
Yeah, this is not a minor miscalculation, guys. We're talking about drastic. And this is our really hope in doing this, is to uncover the truth so that people don't end up 30, 40 years into a plan that they felt very confident up front, right? If Dave does anything, he does a great job of making you feel like what he says is the end all be all. So you just kind of walk behind him and trust what he's saying. But when you look up what the numbers that you uncovered in this, which we're going to cover that, but I want to make sure people know there's actually 2 videos that you created that go into a lot of detail here that we're going to make available to you on our website in the show notes. Okay. So you're going to be able to download those after this podcast. Make sure to go there, wealthwithoutwallstreet.com. We'll put it in the show notes. Make sure to go there. But okay, let's just briefly talk about the numbers. Can you unpack what he talks about in the article, the age of the person, that kind of thing real quick?
Well, I think the key, it's if a 30-year-old man has $100 per month to spend on life insurance and shops at the top 5 cash value companies, he'll find he can purchase an average of $125,000 in insurance for his family. This is word for word right off the website. However, if the same guy purchases a 20-year level term insurance with coverage of $125,000, the cost will only be $7 per month, not $100. So, wow, is what he says. He says you're going to have $93 a month that you could be going to savings if you would have bought the term, because the other goes straight to expenses. That line below that says all of the $93 per month disappears in commissions and expenses for the first 3 years. There's zero money. And he goes on to tell you what the average returns are, which is interesting. I don't know how he can figure out the average return of a mutual fund, considering that they constantly vary. And when I look at those returns, they don't match anything I find. But then he goes on to say the hidden catch, the only benefit paid to your family is the face value of the policy at death. So that $125,000 is all they're going to get. So then all of the cash that would have been in there, the insurance company keeps. They steal your money. So then he creates a better plan. If you follow my baby steps, you'll begin investing as well. Then he says, well, when you're 57 years old and your kids are grown and gone. Well, I'm going to stop right there because I've said a lot here. And for most people, you're probably glazing over some of this. He started out the article saying if a 30-year-old man purchased a 20-year level term insurance. All right. So I'm going back to Montevallo. And I know you got a communication degree. You didn't start out in finance as your number one passion.
That's right.
But I'm assuming you had to take some simple math classes, right?
Absolutely.
So Joey, when you add 20 to 30, what age do you come up with?
I'm going with 50 on this one.
50?
Final answer.
You don't need to phone a friend on this one?
No.
You don't need to consult Dave's better plan when he says then when you are 57 years old?
Wait a minute. I missed. Where did the other 7 years come from?
I don't know. That's the part that, that stands out like a sore thumb to me is where did we move from 50 to 57 all of a sudden, right? I'm not certain on that part. And as many times as this article has been read by people, many times it's been commented on, surely somebody is like pointed out, hey guys, you got a 7-year gap of time in here. Is there a purpose for that time? Did you just misadd? What happened there?
Yeah.
But then he goes on to say, okay, well, you're 57. So magically fast forward 7 years. The kids are grown and gone. The house is paid off because that's an awesome thing. And you have $700,000 in mutual funds. So you'll become self-insured. This means that your 20-year term is up. Yeah, it means your 20-year was up 7 years ago. You shouldn't need life insurance at all because with no kids to feed, no house payment, and 700,000, your spouse will just have to suffer through if you die without insurance.
Mm.
You're going to have to suffer, which, by the way, I mean, $700,000 right now to someone who's 30 years old may seem like it might as well be $1 billion, right? Because that's more money than they make. Joey, would you like to guess in 27 years using his calculation at age 57, what does $700,000 feel like today?
I'm going to have to get you to tell me that. I don't.
Okay, so again, I'm not using opinion. I'm got a financial calculator here. So I'm going to say in 27 years, our person who had $700,000, it's worth $233,000. Okay, so now $233,000 today doesn't seem like a ton. It's a lot of money if you have zero, but it's still not a ton. He said that you're going to have to suffer through. You got $233,000 and you're 57. Odds are you or your spouse are going to make it to 87. Statistics going to prove out that one of the two of you guys are going to have to do that. You know how much money you can spend out of that 233 based upon the same companies that Dave would point to as experts?
I have no idea.
Well, they tell you that if you're going to have a portfolio, in order to guarantee 100% probability that you won't run out of money, you should not be able to take out more than 3% of the account balance to guarantee that you won't have a scenario where you could run out.
So basically you're telling me I can spend about $7,000 a year.
Yeah, 7. So when he says in here, your spouse would just have to suffer, he's not lying. He got that one right. That would be the truth. Because I will tell you this, I just got my power bill, Joey. Power bill for January. Now, we've had extraordinarily cold months, and we're not turning up the heat in our house nearly as hot as you have it in here right now. I was literally knocked to the floor when I opened the bill, and it said $750.
Wow.
$750. My power bill last month was $420 or something. The month before that was barely $300. And then before that had been in the twos, which are expensive. But when I saw that, I was like, what?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So if you were living off of $7,000 a year,
I mean, like,
you're not paying the power.
Well, yeah, one of us is going to have to suffer. You're going to turn the thing off.
Wow,
that's not even close. And this is what he has in his article. You're going to have $700,000. Your spouse is just going to have to suffer through it. And I know he's saying that with a smirk. Like, that's a ton of money. But the reality is 30 years from now or 27 years from now, that's not that much money. And if you have to make it last 30 more years, that's even less. I don't care if you don't have don't have a mortgage payment. I don't care if you don't have a car payment. I don't care if you don't have kids to feed.
Right. But here's the worst part of what you're saying. His number for $700,000 is drastically off, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, therein lies the real catch, right? When we started breaking down the math on this saving $93 a month, because that was the $100, I was going to have $100 a month, right? If I bought a term policy that only cost me $7 a month, I've got $93 that I can invest the difference.
Right.
So I'm going to invest the difference, and he shows that you're going to come up with $700,000 at the end of that time frame.
Well, because, wait a minute, because Dave is always assuming a standard 12% rate of return.
Well, he says in his article, right? He says that the same mutual funds outside of, what does it say? The same mutual funds outside the policy average 12%. Right? So there's where we're starting out with that concept that we're going to have a 12% return, which, by the way, Joey, I don't know if you know this, 1999 was the last high in the stock market before we had the bubble burst of the dot-coms. If you take the high in 99 all the way to the high where we are today in 2018, which we went from about 11,000 in the Dow, and now we're over 26,000. And what is that? Almost a 20-year period of time, right? 18 years, whatever. Would you like to guess what the return in the market is with that just ridiculous run?
What is that, 4.5%? Something like that?
Where are you? I thought you didn't know all these numbers. Now you're just throwing stuff at me.
I try to pay attention when you tell me stuff, okay?
See, you just ruined it all. I had the opportunity to deliver the punchline there. You already knew the numbers. Yeah, do the financial calculation. It's like 4.5% is what the return is. And that's over the last 20 years. And Dave is saying over this specific period of time, the average mutual fund is earning 12%. 12%, is that gross? Is that net?
It's
Is that
definitely
including,
not net.
Is that taking into account taxes?
Fees?
Yeah, like where are we at on some of those things? Because obviously that starts eating into your account. So in my calculation, Joey, and I started going through the math on this, would you like to know if you were saving $93 a month for 20 years, because that's what he said, because at the end of the 20 years, term's gone, so assuming the person not going to have it. And so then we're going to have 7 years of the money just growing. Would you like to know how much that person has to earn net of taxes, net of paying the money babysitters out there in order to actually achieve that result?
I do not remember that number.
It's over 26%.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's
ludicrous.
every single year it's got to earn 26%. I mean, this is just, it gets silly, Joey, when you start getting into these numbers. And I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to go to our show notes. This is episode 18. I want you to actually click on and you can get these videos. I went through both. I actually created two because one, I wanted to break down some things he got wrong about life insurance. The other part, I just want to figure out what did he get wrong in general in this article. You'll see what I found. You're like, wait a second. That's nuts. How does he move from telling we're going to have 700,000 to
what was the final number? We ended up, it wasn't 700,000 if we really go off of current market rates of return, like the actual averages. It was, remind me.
Well, I'm trying to pull it back up because I don't remember. It was under 100,000. How about that?
I want to say it was like 45,000.
Yeah.
That's after, guess what? The fees were $37,000.
Well, there's so much in here, and I get that.
I don't want to glaze people over while they're driving. They're trying to listen to these numbers. Again, we want to encourage you, go and download these videos because, and here's the other part. We're passionate about giving you the truth. So we're not just telling you these things, we're backing it up with numbers. You can physically see them with your own two eyes. You can even use the same calculators that we use at truthconcepts.com. So get a copy of this and please share it. Share it with other people, especially those people that are just gung-ho. Hey, Dave Ramsey is the only one that I listen to. He's a great guy, but he is very misled on this. And the last thing we want is people looking up in 30 years and saying, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. I got to continue to work now. I can't take my foot off the pedal as it relates to finances. I've got to continue to provide for my family because the investment strategy I was employing, it failed me.
Right. It's one of those things where we really need to have a plan of action.
That's right.
You can't just go into this blind. We really need to understand. And I think that the easiest part that as it relates to this that I don't want people to miss is that we're not telling people that term insurance is bad. Where he tells people that whole life is bad, we're not. Don't hear us say that term is bad. Don't hear us say that Dave is bad either, right? Now, this article, I have not broken down everything Dave's ever said, but this article, Dave got wrong. And that is sad that this exists, and it's probably one of his most prominent stances out there. Term insurance has a place, and this is one of the shocking things is, Joey, as I started looking this up, the average American only has $300,000 in life insurance coverage.
Oof. In any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Now, for somebody, that may be a lot of coverage. For somebody like me, that would be very little, right? And I think the first step I would tell somebody, and I think you would agree with, is make sure you have the amount of life insurance coverage that you want.
Right. And we're offering that. We're experts in this. And so we want you to reach out to us to set a life insurance review session. Okay. You can do that on our website. Anytime you can get on our calendar and you can set that up. We want to review those coverages with you, make sure that it's exactly what you need. And like you said, in some cases it is term. In some cases, you need to have the next step into whole life.
And I'm going to correct you on that. I'm going to bust you up a little bit. I don't think that there's an amount of life insurance that people need. I think there's an amount of life insurance that people want. And that seems like nuance, Joey, but I know that you and I had this conversation way back when. What we want to do in that conversation is figure out what it is that you want. What would you want if you were not here for your family? Would you want them to live in the same houses? Would you want them to go to the same colleges? Would you want them to drive the same sort of cars? Whatever those wants are for you, then determine what it costs to maintain that. And then we can back into the number that you then get to protect against that want.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's one of those things that a lot of people get into this rule of thumb. Well, you should have 10 times your yearly pay or blah, blah, blah. I don't like rules of thumb. The rules of thumbs would have gotten you into buying term insurance as a whole. And,
That's right.
And you can't fix that permanent problem with a temporary solution.
Yeah, we want to treat you as an individual and make sure that it's working for you. So set the life insurance review session. Second step is apply for whatever coverage you deem necessary at that point, whatever you're going to want at that point. And then the third is implement this customized plan. Okay. You need a customized plan that, again, you don't look back and wonder what in the world happened. My plan failed me. You need more security, more stability, more guarantees. And that's what you're going to get with the kind of plans that we put together.
Sure. And I think the key is here is that, what you said is that we want to agree to treat people as an individual and not just give blanket advice, so that we're actually going to sit down and have that call and be willing to walk through those questions that you may or may not have thought. Because it's more in depth than, well, I owe $180,000 on this house or 200 on this student loan. Well, I guess then I need to have this much coverage, and then that all takes care of things. I guess my wife will have to suffer through it, like Dave says, right? Well, what happens after that? You pay off everything, that power bill's still coming, right?
That's right.
The kids' tuition for college is still going to happen. The cars they're going to want to drive, still, all that's going to continue to happen. So you need to think through those things, and I think you'll want to know what those answers are.
Right. So again, just kind of a review, make sure and set the review session to review your life insurance options with us on our website. And also don't forget to go to the episode show notes. Episode 18, you're going to have a chance to download these 2 videos we've mentioned about Dave Ramsey and the truth about life insurance, and share those with somebody that really needs to hear this. We want to make sure and equip you to be able to do that. We're bringing people from blindness, like blindly following the herd. Just because someone says it on the radio doesn't mean it's true. You owe it to yourself to back it up with numbers, to understand it objectively, not subjectively.
You want me to sing I can see clearly now the rain is gone?
Actually, I don't want you to sing at all. Okay,
I've got this microphone in front of me. I feel like it's like karaoke time.
Oh, we've just been talking about karaoke in the office, and I have visions of Russ doing that, and it's painful. Okay, thank you guys for listening. This is episode 18. We've brought you a lot of great knowledge about the truth about life insurance. Don't forget to go to our show notes at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/episode 18. Download the 2 videos about Dave Ramsey that we talked about. And don't forget to set up your life insurance review strategy session with us. You can do that right there in the show notes. Now, next week, you will not want to miss our episode 19. We're talking about it's all about how you think. Nelson is quoted multiple times. That's his famous line. But we're going to review a book with you that I am so excited. It's kept me up at night thinking about this simple idea that what you put in your box is what's going to come out. So don't miss us. Episode 19 next week. Tune in. I mean, it's really inspired me. I don't remember the last time I heard someone's story and was just challenged. I mean, this hardcore. I mean, the guy was in dire straits.
He was in prison, man.
I mean, if anybody's circumstances are worse, show me.
Yeah.
Because he went from that situation to 7 years. So 7 years after that, he launches a company. And 3 years after that, it's named in, what was it, Inc. 500?
Yeah, it's in the Inc. magazine for one of the fastest growing businesses in America. But just to think back where he came from. The guy was a dropout from high school, 3-time convicted criminal, deserted his family,
Oh,
had a young son who had really never seen him. And all of a sudden he's sitting there in prison staring at the mirror at himself. His dad, I can't remember if his dad died at that moment. I think that's what had happened,
yeah.
if I'm remembering right, and just said, this just can't be my life, right? And
Right.
through reading, educating, which we love, right? It's just the idea of just learning. He got into Stephen Covey's books. He got into Tony Robbins' books. And he started saying, you know what? This is not going to be my life. Even though I've got 7 more years in this prison, I'm going to find a way to be successful.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.